All right, here we go, guys. Hey, welcome to the show. Today we got a jam-packed episode. We're going to be talking about how to launch a design business from zero. It's a very popular topic, and that's why we're talking about it. Joining me today is a whole bunch of people. I don't have a slide for one of them, but first it's Matthew Mancini. He's the blind creative director, and then right next to him is Greg Gunn, also a blind creative director, and right beside him is Ben Burns, the blind digital director. All right, there's their Twitter. I didn't have time to prepare Greg's face. It was just a last-minute ad, you guys. It's a bonus material. Greg is here. We are going to try, Mr. Ben's going to tell me, keep this in 1 hour. So you guys stay tuned. Let's roll the title. All right, great, thank you. All right, so before we begin talking about how to launch and create your own business, we're just going to ask you guys, are you an entrepreneur? Are you an entrepreneur? And everybody's going to say yes because they dream of all the great things. So we're ready to launch, right? But before we do that, I'm just going to ask you, why do you want to launch a design business? And this is a question that Joey Corman threw at me on the School of Motion. He's like, what kind of advice would you give somebody if they came to you and said, how do I start a design business? Then my answer was, in the typical fashion, I answered the question with a question, is why do you want to start a business, okay? Is it for money? Is it about getting famous? Or maybe you think it's a way to manage other people and delegate all your work, so you just chill and do the cool stuff and you point at the screen and you just say, that's cool, make it rad, and that's your level of art direction. Is it those reasons? Because that might not be the right reason to start a business in the first place. Now, I'm going to have Ben share his story, and we're going to do this really quickly. Ben Burns, why don't you tell the people your experience about leaving your job and starting a business? Let's keep it into like 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. So I was a police officer. I was working narcotics cases, and I was freelancing at the same time. And so basically, my freelance practice took off, and I was making more money than I was as a cop. But the transition was really scary for me. You know, I was terrified at leaving my job. And when I made the jump, it was just nerve-wracking. So made the jump, started freelancing full-time, and it grew from there.
All right, that's a great story. And what were you most afraid of, Ben?
I was a homeowner at that point, so I was afraid of losing my house. And, only when I was able to see, hey, I'm only making $1,800 a month as a police officer, I can do this, and that,
But it's still pretty scary.
Yeah, it was scary.
You owned a house.
Yeah.
Were you married?
Yeah, I was married.
So you had a couple obligations. You had a mortgage payment, and you had a wife to support, and I assume she wasn't working at the time?
She was.
She was working?
She was.
Okay, so there was
a little bit of safety there.
All right, this is pre-baby, right?
Yes,
okay.
pre-baby.
Then things get really crazy. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Matthew. Matt, what's your story about wanting to start a business?
It was when I first graduated. It was at the peak of the height of the motion industry, so it was around 2006, 2007. Projects were just falling in our lap, and me and my friends were getting a lot of work, and we weren't even doing anything about that, and it just was happening for us. So it just kind of made sense for us to start our business, because we felt like rock stars coming out of college.
Yours was about fame.
it was on the fame side for sure.
Fame and path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And so a lot of work was already coming your way. It seemed to be very natural for you. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go and just. It seems like the path is leading us this way. The world wants us to go and start a company because the leads were coming in.
That's right.
That's awesome. So, Greg Gunn, what's your story about wanting to start a business? And welcome to the show, by the way.
Hey, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Camera here?
That one right there.
Hey, what's
Greg
up?
Gunn.
I'm Greg Gunn. This is what my face looks like. Okay, so my story is really similar to Matthew's in that kind of started a business around the same time, 2006-ish. Straight out of school, not a cop, young, zero ties, and that was it. And just as Chris said, there was so much work back then, and I think it was a matter of being at the right place at the right time. So my partners and I decided this has to happen right here, right now, and we kind of rode that train for as long as we possibly could. That's my story.
Excellent. Good stories. I'm going to tell you guys my story about why I started my own business. And I'm going to make this really short because some of you guys are already familiar with this. I worked in a very corporate job at an ad agency, and I found that wasn't a good fit for me. So I went to the other side of the spectrum and worked at a punk rock music label called Epitaph Records. And for a number of reasons, that didn't work out for me either. I only lasted about 2 months there, and I put in my letter of resignation. And then I was kind of out in the real world. And this is only a few months after graduating school, and I already decided I don't make a good employee. I had ideas about what I wanted to do, and I wanted to live or die by my own set of rules and ambition. And that's why I started my own business. And for me, it was hastily done, because we're talking about months out of school, didn't have a portfolio, didn't know how to market, didn't know about any kind of business skills, and did it anyways. And so there are some regrets that I have. That might have been one to be a little bit more patient. So that's my story. It's mostly because I don't make a good employee, I think. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. So here's your kind of entrepreneurial checklist, if you will. This is a reality check more than it is a normal check, okay? So let's get into this, guys. So I'm gonna play this full screen so you guys can see. One of the things that people don't understand is that when you run a business, it's on your mind 24/7. That means the times in which you're on vacation, the weekends, holidays, all that kind of stuff. Forget about holidays and vacations. What am I saying? I didn't take a vacation for the first 5 years of my life after starting the company. So you have to be prepared for that. Next is you have to know that you're going to be managing people, and some people, some creative types, are not comfortable with that. They tend to want to do the work themselves, and so the idea of working with others, working with people under them, it's a very difficult thing. All right. Next up is, are you looking forward to working with clients, dealing with sometimes very subjective things, like I showed it to my wife or I showed it to my daughter and they didn't like the design. How are you going to react to that? Do you like to be in front of people? Okay, moving down the list, and you guys feel free to elaborate and add your own things or whatever, okay? Just shout it out. Next one is, you have to be ready to do sales and marketing. And we're going to get more into that because that's a really vital part to the success of your business. Do you do sales right now? Do you do marketing? Are you putting yourself out there? Are you willing to do the kind of dog and pony show, if you will? Are you willing to go on the road and have lunches with people? It requires a lot of social interaction, requires real interaction, and then interaction online as well. Next question, and this relates to Ben's story, is can you afford to fail? What do you have in terms of your financial responsibilities and your obligations at home? What are you doing? Do you have an elderly parent that's depending on you to help? You know, do you have, are you the sole breadwinner and you have philosophy was getting out of school. I think I had about 9 months or so before my Stafford student loans were due, and I looked at that window as like this burning pressure to go ahead and do something. The best time for me, the way I rationed in my mind, was start a company when you're young. If you fail, you can always get a job, and I had plenty of time to figure out how to pay off my student loans. So I thought. Okay. Next is, and it's related to the other one about managing people, about this idea of delegation. Are you okay with letting go of hands-on work? Because that's a question that I get a lot. I'm sure Greg, Ben, Matthew, you get that question. In that people think, like, how often are you designing in a day? And the way I like to think of it, if I'm having a good day, I'm designing very little. I'm making very little. I would prefer to bring in people who are more talented than me at doing design, animation, whatever else, and letting them have the task and then coaching them in terms of solving a client problem. Okay? That's a big one. Okay? So if you think about that, it's like, are you ready to let go of the thing that you love doing the most, the thing that you're most passionate about? Are you capable of letting go? Now, you guys can agree or disagree with me, and I'm sure we're going to hear it on the internet. You can comment below, and we'll address that as we go. And let's have a real discussion about it. This is just, I want to tell you guys, this is just my perspective. This is how I run my company. And this is what I think I've instilled in Matthew and Greg, and that they can't be the guys on the box anymore. Right. And Ben Burns is already there because he's ran his own business as well. Next is, this one's a tough one. Or do you like reading your balance sheet? Do you even know what that is, your profit and loss statement?
Depends on what's happening. Sometimes it's great to read. They have when there's red on it, I don't want to read that thing.
Sometimes it's a very sad note, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the idea that you even want to look at a balance sheet and that you have a head for some numbers. Now, I'm not talking about doing accounting because we didn't pursue a creative life because we want to do accounting. But to be mindful of your own business. Now it's starting to look like not so fun anymore, isn't it? Okay, so that's the reality of it, you guys. Two more things. Are you risk tolerant? Does doing something new, does changing gears, does moving to a new city, does trying to figure out a new way of designing or a different field, like for example, if a client asks you to design a building, can you do that? And if you don't do animation, if somebody asks you, can you produce a video or an animation, can you do that? So how risk averse are you? So I like to think of it in the positive as I'm risk tolerant. The last one is leadership skills, and it requires a whole bunch of skills to gather diverse creative people together to align them towards a goal and help facilitate them working towards those goals without being a micromanager. All right, Mr. Ben Burns, I'm just going to warn you about the gun. All right, so you guys, now that you've heard all those things, are you ready to start your business? Okay, here's how I'm going to look at this, you guys. This is how my coach talked to me about it. He's like, you got to plan a picnic. You have to make a plan, all right? But planning a picnic doesn't sound so sexy, so I'm going to do the sexy Hollywood version, which is let's plan a prison break. We're going to get out of prison, okay? We need to know that there are a lot of steps involved, okay? Why is there two cameras on me for this?
This is why that's.
Oh, okay, I should be looking at that one? All right. Aaron, tell me which camera I'm supposed to be looking at. The far one?
This one's wide. This one's your.
Tell me which camera I'm supposed to be looking at when I'm talking.
This one right here, right? Yeah, look at that.
That one, the far one, thank you. Okay, so here's a quote that I found, and it's a favorite saying of mine. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, by Benjamin Franklin. So we need to put a plan together. So somewhere between you thinking that you want to start your company and as impatient as you might be, and when you want to launch, there's a lot of steps involved. What are the steps that you guys think need to be involved in planning this prison break of ours? Boys?
Well, you have to have enough money saved up.
Okay. You have to have money saved up. What else?
Yeah.
Just a couple ideas. I have a slide for it. I just want to get you guys involved in the dialogue.
You have to have a service that you're going to offer. You have to have a plan for what you're going to sell, right?
Okay. So you need money,
Yeah.
and you need something to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. What else?
You need a way to find customers
Mhm.
or clients.
Okay, you need customers. What did you say, Ben?
What you're going to sell.
You need runway too, right? You
And
said
runway,
that.
yeah.
What are you going to sell? Okay. There we go.
Yeah, I think with the plan, look, aside from what you're gonna sell, it's like just goals, short-term, long-term goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to know what your goals are?
Yeah.
Okay.
This kind of has a little bit of planning and goals in it, but you have to have your definition of success ironed out, right?
Okay, that's goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that day, what does that perfect day look like?
Well, your perfect day?
Yeah. Like what's the end goal?
Well, you're throwing all sorts of stuff at me. Your perfect day. Okay, I want to ask you about your perfect day in a little bit and your end goal. What does your end goal mean? And can you clarify?
Are
that?
you trying to exit? Are you trying to
People in this industry
sell?
don't even know what that word
Yeah.
exit means.
Like, are you trying to sell your business to a larger business or an investor? Are you trying to grow this thing
how
to
you retire,
massive?
basically, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so those of you guys that don't know, the exit is how you get out of your company, because a lot of people in the creative space don't create a company thinking about the exit. This is what they love. They left the last company so they can do this for the rest of their lives. Okay, so we're just talking about a way that you ultimately, when you don't want to work anymore, you don't have to, but it's not part of your plan. I talked to Blair Enns recently and for an interview for the next podcast. He said if he could have it, no company should have an exit scenario. Like he should banish the exit plan. Because he said, what would you do if you couldn't ever exit out of your own company?
Mm-hmm.
Go do that. Okay, so that's what he said. It's a nice thought. And then the perfect day we can get into. All right, are we monitoring any kind of questions so far? All right, so this is kind of a false expectation here in that your portfolio is the thing that you need, and that's all you need. The assumption here is your portfolio is already good, so I'm not going to talk so much about the portfolio, because if your portfolio is not good, it's not a good time for you to go and start a business. If you can't say with relative confidence and objectivity, my work is solid, it's above most of the people that I meet, maybe it's not in the top 1%, but it's in the top 15%, realistically have that hard look and see if you're ready. okay? But having the portfolio doesn't do anything for you now. Now we're gonna get into the rest of the stuff, and we've already talked about some of these things. One is, I like to say that before you start your company, you should have a 3-month runway. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit. You probably should get your legal stuff set up too. So I'm gonna recommend for you guys right now, I am no attorney by any stretch of the imagination here, is that you should have an LLC set up. It's a limited liability company. It helps to protect your assets, that when and if you should get sued, that they can't take everything you've ever earned for your entire life, okay? You need to accept your bank account, and file all your business permits. Let's get that stuff out of the way, because that takes a little bit of time. So that's gonna take a couple of weeks for you to get set up. A lot of resources. You can hire an attorney, or you can work with LegalZoom. That's something you can do. And here's what Ben talked about. Side hustle. And this is what Matt naturally had happening for him. Without even looking for work, work started to come to you because people knew of you, knew of what you could do, and the work came to you. And most likely, that's from your friends and family network, right? Or your very close professional network. That's where you're gonna get work. They're like, Matthew does really great work. A teacher will recognize that, see a project that they can't do, and then give it to you. That's a good way. And who would they give that project to? Are they gonna give it to the bottom half? No. They're gonna give it to the people who are great performers. And the thing that I want you guys to think about is, if you're coming out of school, or if you're still in school, is you're making an impression or a possible job interview without even knowing it on your instructor. Because for them to refer a client to you means that they don't want to be embarrassed by making that recommendation. So you have to do good work, you have to be easy to get along with, and you have to show some kind of level of responsibility and initiative. That's really important.
And I was going to just add, you need basic business skills. You know, you can't be socially inept. As,
we'll get into that. We'll get into that, man.
Okay.
These are like the raw ingredients.
I just
You
jumped
know,
the gun
if
every
you
time,
want to
right?
have soup, you gotta have like water. You have to have
Yeah.
certain things.
You
know?
got to know how to write an email. You have to.
Yeah,
know
yeah.
how
We'll
to-
get into
yeah.
that, Mister. But on these things, Ben, I'm curious with your police work.
Yeah.
Police work seems very far away from design work. How is it that you were already getting work on the side?
Okay, so it wasn't like I graduated college and went to the police force. I worked in an agency for a long time. And so I already had a solid portfolio, and I was picking work up from friends and just the kind of like online brokers like Odesk and stuff like that. Really, really small jobs, but I was doing enough of them to bring in.
You mean you were working in the creative field, and then you decided to become an undercover cop?
Yeah.
What was going on in your head about that?
You know, it was 2009. I was working in an agency and just kind of decided to like drop that and go try and find another job.
Why?
And I don't know. I just wasn't happy in my current position.
Why?
Didn't feel like I had a lot of creative control.
Okay, there you go.
I felt like, you know, there were bigger and better things out there for me.
Okay, so without naming names,
Sure.
the agency that you worked at didn't give you the creative fulfillment that you thought you could get by
Right.
being a designer.
Right.
So that's probably an issue of culture and
Right.
about leadership. You can survive one. You can survive if the one or the two is present.
Right.
So there's a healthy and robust company culture. Then you can move around certain problem individuals if you had to report to them.
Right.
But generally speaking, a company with a strong culture, that person is going to stand out like a sore thumb and get fired, unless if they're one of the untouchables, like they're related to the owners. That becomes a problem. And two, if there's a great leader, despite an unhealthy or a toxic creative culture within the company, that's like your own little private group. You create the rebellion, the resistance, if you will, and
Right.
you bond on that, and then you learn a lot from that person. And that exists as well, and I've been a part of both, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So I forgot to mention to our audience that are tuning in live, there's a whole good chunk of Q&A. Those of you guys that have submitted questions to Twitter, we'll be answering that, so just hang in there, be patient. It's a long show, so we'll be all right, okay? So here we go. We've got those three things met now. In addition to having a good portfolio, we have 3 months of runway. I forgot to talk about this. We have 3 months of runway. We've got the bank account, the legal stuff set up. We're ready to go. We've got the name, the website, okay? And we're starting to get some freelance work. Let's talk about the 3-month runway. Somebody might be wondering, how do I know what my 3-month runway is? Ben, Matthew, Greg, you guys want to tackle that?
I mean, I would interpret that as kind of on a personal finance level, like your emergency savings, right? It's like what you need that will keep you and everything you need afloat for the next 3 months. So that's a roof over your head, food in your mouth, the lights on, internet connection, all the kind of fundamental things you need to survive as a human being for 3 months.
Okay, that's a great way to talk about that. I think we're talking about the essentials.
Yep.
Okay? This is Maslow's bottom of the pyramid in terms of hierarchy.
Yeah.
Food, shelter, clothing, that kind of stuff. What does that cost you right now if you estimate all that kind of stuff? So you can look at rent, food, car payments, what is that called? Any loans that you have to pay. Those are the basic necessities, right? Electricity, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We'll call them utilities, okay? What is that amount? And you figure that out. Now, I'd like to say that when you're starting out, try to run your operation as lean as possible.
Yes.
Bare bones. I don't have the pictures here. Well, there are some pictures that exist. When we were literally, our desks were made up of doors that we bought from Home Depot and used sawhorses to prop them up. It's like the classic startup thing. We bought chairs from Staples for $79 and just super ghetto phones that we just jerry-rigged together. Basically, Staples was our lifeline.
Yeah.
And I love going to Staples. I'd buy all sorts of junk that I didn't need.
Great.
Like a Rolodex back in the day.
You had a Rolodex?
Dude, I do.
That's awesome. We need to
Oh,
find
yeah,
that.
handwritten. I don't have them anymore.
Oh.
You guys that are too young on the internet, you don't even know what a Rolodex is. It's all good. It's all good.
Google's just spiked on Rolodex.
So let's just say like your rent is most likely going to be your highest expense. And so let's try and get our costs down. If need be, split a room, have a roommate, or split a house, and have it do double duty. What I would do is negotiate with a guy, and we've done this before, is if there's a garage and they like the garage and there's an extra den, that one of you claim the garage and one of you guys claim the den, and set up your office.
Mhm.
It doesn't need to be fancy and pretty, and especially in the internet age, you guys, you don't need a lot. You really don't. You do need a good internet connection, but other than that, you've got your laptop, and even still, if you don't have that, go to a library. You can work out of the library. It just means your office hours are tied to the library.
Yeah.
But keep your expenses really low.
Chris,
So
can you explain the term runway?
Yeah, I'm gonna get into that right
Okay.
now. That's a great question. Who asked that?
That was the Design Times TV.
The Design Times TV. Okay, we're gonna calculate your runway right now. Let's say when you add all this up, it's $1,000. All right, it's $1,000. So what I'm saying right now is multiply that by 3, and that'll equal $3,000. You will need, in my business model plan here, in terms of runway, if you get no new work, you can survive with 0 income for 3 months. In this scenario, if you have $3,000, you're set. That will take a little bit of pressure off of you. Now, here's the thing, you guys, and I hear this all the time. Everybody is living kind of hand to mouth, month to month. Like if they don't make enough money this month, they can't pay rent, they'll miss a payment on their loans, or their credit card payments will be overdue, something like that. That puts you in a horrible position that any job that comes in, you have to take. So say you and I, Greg, we're negotiating, right? All the leverage is on your side because I need the work so bad. It affects your mentality, it affects your ability to say the magic word. No, this isn't a good fit for me. That's why I say keep your expenses really low, and have 3 months of runway saved up before you even think about doing this. Just chill.
And I played it even more safe. So
How many months of runway did you have?
we had 6 months,
Great.
and I was planned on not pulling money from the business for 3 months.
Okay.
So I planned on not even living.
You planned on failing for 3 months?
Yes.
Okay.
So we had that 6 months, and then before I made the jump, I also basically paid off probably 75% of the debt
Yeah.
that I had. So that side hustle really allowed that transition to happen.
Okay, now we're gonna get a little personal, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you guys a little personal story. One of the reasons why I created launched the business when I did in 1995 was because there was a business partner who wanted to start a design firm, and they had money. So just to give you guys some numbers, this is me as being like a 22-year-old kid straight out of college. They had written me a check the night that we met. They wrote me a good faith check for $5,000. Okay? And I had asked for, I don't need the K if I wrote 5,000, what am I thinking?
It looks great.
You look good? Showing up? Okay. This is a really juicy marker. So $5,000 on the promise of giving me $100,000. that was my safety net, you guys. So that's what I was operating out of. And my expenses at that time was so little. Basically, I was renting a loft in downtown for $1,200. That was essentially like my entire existence, and that was it. Because I wasn't kind of racking up any kind of expensive lifestyle at that point. And so that was probably a runway of about 9 months. I had projected 9 months of making $0. Interesting thing was, the first month we were already profitable and cash flow positive. So then I had a new problem, which was I accepted money to give away 51% of the business for essentially $5,000, and we're already cash flow positive at that point. So I was thinking, was that the dumbest decision I've ever made? That all I needed was a little confidence and that little kick in the butt to say, go ahead and start your own company. So that created a different kind of problem, but we're not going to get into that. Okay, so there you guys are. Let's keep going. Okay, the one thing that we were missing in that dialogue was sales and marketing.
Ooh.
This is critical. This is the big one. This is the mother of all bullet points. That's why it deserves one by itself. Sales and marketing. And there are two different concepts. Marketing is about building awareness for your services or your product. And sales is the ability to talk to somebody and close it and bring it home. Okay? So marketing is like we're reaching out to lots of people. And then sales is like hand-to-hand comment to land the job. That's how I define it. Ben, do you see this some other way?
Yeah, it's right on. We also have kind of a related question from Alex Smith. He wants to know how you found your first 3 jobs. So maybe he can dovetail into that.
We're going to
a little
dovetail
bit.
that into the question part, because
Right.
that's going to wreck me a little
Okay,
bit.
cool.
Okay? Could you put a pin on that?
I got a screenshot.
Okay, excellent. All right, we'll get into that. Who asked that question? Alex?
Alex.
Alex. All right, Alex, we'll get to your question in just a little bit here. So I want you guys just to think about these 3 things. When you're thinking about sales and marketing, I want you to ask yourself, who are your customers? And I want you to be very specific. Who am I marketing to? You need to know who you're marketing to in order to be effective. And the typical answer is, I don't know who I'm marketing to, or I'm marketing to everybody. Both are not good answers, okay? I'm not going to get into the detailed parts of this because we actually teach this stuff, and we've talked about it a little bit before. And then the next question you're going to ask is, how will they find you? Now you have identified a customer. Okay, let's do a little kind of not role play, but let's just kind of build a narrative around this. Either Matthew or Greg, when you guys are first starting out, who is your customer and how did they find you?
Let's see. So we were working in traditional advertising at the time. So our customer was advertising agencies, specifically art directors and creative directors at big ad agencies.
And then how will they find you?
By very traditional methods, being we had a portfolio of work, and we had sales reps, all throughout the U.S. and even some overseas, who would take this work, and they would go and set up meetings and screen this work in front of large groups and be like, "Hey, here are these guys. Here's their latest work. Let me know if you want to work together." It sounds super productive. I'm sure they did a lot more than that, but that's essentially what happened. And hypothetically, if they saw our work at the right time when a project like that was in need, they'd pick up the phone or they'd email our producer and say, "Hey, we want to talk with those guys."
All right, perfect. So you were really relying on the sales and marketing arm of the production company that you signed with, right?
100%.
All right, so you really didn't have a good answer for
No.
that. Basically, it's like, I don't know.
No idea.
We're going to be the art kids in the back and let us know when
Yeah.
it work and we'll show up.
Exactly right.
Okay, perfect. But for the rest of you guys that aren't going to be in a position where there's going to be sales and marketing teams working on your behalf, which is a wonderful, privileged place to be, you have to start thinking about how are they going to find you. This is one of the fundamental things. So question number 1 is hard. Question number 2 is hard. Question number 3 is even harder. Is how will you solve their problems? What kind of value will you create for them? Okay, a basic tenet of business is that when 2 parties meet and both sides see more value in what they're giving up, then a deal is made. Right? So if you have $30,000, but you like what I create more than $30,000, you will give me the $30,000.
It's a win-win.
Okay?
Yeah.
And what I create feels like it's worth less than the $30,000, so I gladly take your $30,000 and give you my service, for which I've trained a long time to do, right? So that's how that works. So you kind of have to think about these 3 questions, and if you can answer these questions, you're on the right path, okay? All right, so I can't talk about sales and marketing without briefly mentioning the sales and conversion funnel or the user journey. And we've talked about this in other Facebook Live episodes, but if you guys are joining us right now, this is something you really need to be aware of, is that before a transaction is made, before somebody even calls you, they need to know who you are. And we have to spend a lot of time thinking about how best to be in front of them at the right time with the right message in the right tone. That's critical. So if you're a edgy brand, you're not going to want a corporate looking design. And if you're a corporate company or corporate brand, you're not going to want some frou-frou looking thing. Usually those are misaligned unless they're repositioning themselves. And in that case, then they're going to call you, okay? So the customer has a need that you're not aware of. And they're out there looking for you right now. The buyers are out there looking for you, believe it or not. But you have to figure out how you can be in front of them. And there's a couple things we can look at. This kind of feels a little bit like the New York transit system a little bit, guys, but we're going to talk about it. It's not that complicated. It's just a couple layers, and maybe I don't have them just right. But one tier of how people can find out about you is like portfolio sites. And if I'm remembering this correctly, the first one's Behance, the next one is Dribbble, and then there's Tumblr, which is less and less popular these days. But that's what the initials stand for. So if you guys are looking for work right now, are you on Behance, are you on Dribbble, and are you on Tumblr? You can be on all three, but if you're really good at one platform, you can stay there, okay? The next tier down is what we consider social media marketing, and that's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest.
Snap.
And Snap. Is Snap really a platform to market? Like on a one-to-one?
It can be.
It can be. I think it's for the big boys, right? It feels like it's
Yes.
for the big boy.
Yeah.
You want me to add Snap? Ben? Now I'm going to edit the deck. Now you guys talk amongst yourselves. Look pretty. Snap. There we are. I'm
Snap.
fast, dude. Here we go. And in case you guys are wondering, I'm using Keynote. You guys can use PowerPoint, but I like Keynote. It's easy to use and it's on a Mac. And then one layer beneath that, and they're not any more or less important than each other. It's just different tiers, so you guys don't look at a field of blue dots, is where you write. So people who write, who have a gift for that, might be posting things on Medium or on LinkedIn to share your content and your ideas. This is one way that somebody's going to find out about you. There's lots of other ways, but think about where you're at on these platforms, okay? Now, Behance I want to talk about a little bit because people often ask, and I'm going to answer this question preemptively, I'm from another country, I'm from Egypt, I'm from Croatia, I'm from Spain, I'm from, I should say Barcelona. I'm from some place where there isn't a giant demand for creative services and it's kind of low value. We have a lot of fans in East Africa. How do you get work? Well, and how do you get work from international clients? Behance is a great place, and truth be told, we've hired several people from nothing other than seeing their Behance portfolio and then having an email correspondence with them. And here's a couple things I want you guys to be aware of. One is when you're contacted, how responsive are you? Is it 4 days that go by without you responding to me? So this is one where responsiveness matters, okay? So somebody gets a message and they respond within an hour or so, I'm excited to be talking to them. And this is where Ben Burns and his whole email conversation game really helps. If English is your second language, if anything I can recommend you guys, and I'm speaking purely out of self-interest here, if you speak English well, it makes it a lot easier for me to converse with you. It makes it feel like we understand each other and we're connecting, all right? So having a good email game, being responsive, that helps out a lot. But the thing that's most important on Behance is taking the time and energy to craft beautiful work and tagging it appropriately so people who are looking for you can't find you, okay? Now this is a little snippet from our sales and marketing workshop, Ben. And I want to tell you about this, and we're going to dive a little deeper into this, okay? This is the anatomy of a $500,000 self-promotion campaign. I don't mean $500,000 in terms of how much they spent. It's what that one campaign has been worth to them in terms of new business. So let's dive into it, okay? And I'm going to give a heads up to Mr. Aaron Atchison. If you're watching, Aaron, if you want to call me in a little bit, I will prompt you to call me. I'm not sure if you're watching right now or not. We spoke yesterday. This is Aaron's company. So if we dive into this, let me see if I can zoom in. I cannot. That's all right. You guys can just stare at the screen for a little bit. The thing that Aaron did was he decided to create a self-promotional piece. And a lot of people talk about that, but he went really deep. He worked with a printer, got custom printing. It was awesome. He worked with a local ice cream popsicle manufacturer, like artisanal, like really beautiful, ice cream or popsicles, right? And then he designed it, he handed them out, and then he photographed it and presented it on Behance, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. And that thing got picked up by a packaging blog called The Die Line. Then he saw traffic to his Behance page spike and to his website spike. Because people who are looking for other people who make beautiful packaging are probably looking on The Die Line. So they discover his work and he's getting work, and he just keeps getting more and more work. He just landed a really big job yesterday as I talked to him. And so now he is saying to me, like, I have so much work, and he's grown from a one-person solopreneur operation to a firm where I think he has now 5 or 6 full-time employees working for him in an office. So he's had wonderful success in that, okay? And the company's name is called Farm Design. If you guys have been tuning in and watched me, and the people that are part of the Future Pro Group, you understand this case study. I've shared it many times already, okay? Now look at here, Farm Design. This is called Make It Pop, and he has over 45,000 views on this, 3,800 likes on it. That's pretty good. But it wasn't so much that this one thing spawned everything. It's a snowball effect. He got some new clients from this, created more packaging, more branding work, and that led to more and more work. So his other case studies have even more views than this. But it began somewhere, and I think I can trace it down to this one thing. So I'll show you some stills, okay? These were actually printed with a variety of effects, including like, what is that called?
Spot gloss, UV.
Yeah, I think that's called a clear foil, or what you call a spot varnish. Matte papers, different inks, different effects, even embossing. You guys can see embossing on the side of the ice cream cone. And look at the way he packaged this whole thing together. He color coordinated the entire box with the color of the popsicle. So when you open it up, it almost looks like a book of Pantone colors.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's pretty awesome. It's all packaged in this kind of styrofoam stay cold container with a card that's resistant to water. So he didn't want that to happen. You know, it had to be clear coated, all that kind of stuff, because it was going to get wet. And then he photographed all these things, and he put the time and energy into that. And then that's what got featured in the Die Line, and then really everything skyrocketed. I mean, to this day, we joke that he's like, Chris, I cannot literally take more business because I'm doing bids all day long. That's a great place to be.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of designers and people who are out there kind of struggling to make it would probably kill him for saying things like that. Like, what do you mean? You're annoyed that too many people call you? I know I'm characterizing it a little funny, but all right. So he's basically gotten more work from that one initial thing than anything else that, as far as I know, that he's ever done. Okay, so I'm gonna log onto Facebook right now. So Aaron, if you're...
He's listening.
Oh, he is listening. So
Yeah.
Aaron, you wanna call in and just say hello to us? Call me now, baby. Maybe?
There's gonna be a little lag because
Yeah, there's a little lag, so call me. I'm ready for you. I probably should have that open in case he dials, because I might not be able to hear it. All right, so while we're waiting for Aaron to call us,
I got some platform questions if you want to do.
go
that
ahead. We'll do the
one.
platform questions while we're waiting for Aaron to call.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Andre Thompson asked, "What's the best platform for motion designers?"
Ooh, good question.
That's a tough.
That
Damn.
is.
Who's that guy?
Andre Thompson.
Andre Thompson coming with a hard question, because ow, right at the beginning. What's the best platform for motion designers? Where are buyers looking for motion designers?
I almost want to say Vimeo is the only thing that comes to mind, because there was a couple of instances where people came to us because they found work on Vimeo that we did, and I don't want to say their name, but it was a financial company that we worked with.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, we were scouring Vimeo and we found your video," and then they hit us up.
Okay. Just like Behance is a portfolio site. You can
Right.
put your motion graphic work on Behance.
Yeah.
But the key to the success is having some credible person saying, this is really good. I call them the kingmakers, you know? They anoint you being king of whatever country you're from.
Mhm.
You're the king. And so the Die Line validated him and boosted him through their massive network. We felt the same thing too. When we're producing our videos for the future, we got picked up by the creative block and design tax, and we saw a huge spike. I saw a spike from Logo Inspirations as well.
Mhm.
So you need to get somewhere in front of somebody who's going to be looking for that kind of stuff. So the other great place, if you're a motion graphics person, probably is the #1 site for this kind of stuff is Motionographer. So that's motionographer.com. And you have to build a relationship with them. You have to do something interesting, unique. Otherwise, they get hundreds of submissions, I'm sure. And if you're a cinematographer and working in the video space, maybe No Film School is a great place to be. That's where a lot of people are looking for people. right? So those blogs. So here's what you would do. Type in motion graphics blog and look for the top results.
Yeah.
And you can use that same search term for whatever industry you're in. Packaging blog, branding blog, typography blog, you fill in the blank blog. Underwater basket weaving blog. Find that one, okay?
You
I
can
don't
go-
think Aaron's gonna call in.
You can go a step further too. So if you find that blog, then you can find out what platforms that blog is on, like if they're on Instagram or they're on Pinterest or something else. And then what you can do is if you post your work, like a snippet of it or a still or something, a lot of them will have a hashtag that you can use to be kind of, I guess, captured in their research.
Yeah.
And maybe instead of cold emailing, you'll get a better result. Like you'll be included in their kind of search through Instagram or whatever it is.
Okay.
Aaron's asking, call on the seller via Facebook.
Call via Facebook, dude. I thought we went through this whole thing yesterday. You old dog, come on. Stop aging yourself now. Call me on Snapchat, brother. No. Call me on Facebook right now. We'll talk. This one is not going to be under an hour. Man.
No, it's not. We're like 15 minutes away.
I just barely got started here. I'm getting warmed up. So it's amazing to me, you guys. A lot of people are watching this on YouTube and saying, this is the longest video they've ever watched from beginning to end. And I try to say, I'll make it worth it if you stick to that, if you stay with this to the end. We're going to take our first commercial break coming up really soon, but Aaron Atchison, call me on Facebook, dude.
He says I'm computer illiterate.
You're more computer illiterate. You're just
Okay.
illiterate. I'm going to call you
on
myself.
Facebook.
Huh?
Everybody on Facebook that calls in, it's in the Messenger app. So you open up a chat window with.
I'm going to call him right now. I'll do the work.
Okay.
This is one of those
All
rare
right.
instances where I'm going to actually do the work. Because he can't figure it out. Here we go. Ooh, it's a little staticky, huh? Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, can you guys hear us on Facebook Live? Is that coming through? I hope it's coming through. Say something, Aaron.
Oh, can you hear me? Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you?
Okay.
All right, great. So we've been talking about your work. Usually I'm talking smack about you. So every once in a while I actually say something nice, and so I thought I'd pull you onto the show. Can you tell me, just rough ballpark estimate, how much money has been generated from that one initial thing that you did a couple of years ago? Could you put a number on it for us?
I'll put a percentage on it. I would say probably.
Don't be shy.
30% of
30%?
3%.
33%.
Came from that post, which was a blog post. Yeah, so, which in our gift probably it's going to be $1 million. So you do the math.
Yeah? Okay, I'm turning up the volume. Is that what you... Just tell me to turn up the volume. It's like, I don't know what you're telling me.
Sign language.
Yeah, I'm not a sign language. He's pointing to the floor. He says, go down, but get up. You want me to do a burpee? What do you want me to do? All right, so we boosted the audio a little bit so people can hear you a little bit better, okay? Ben Burns and Matthew, you might need to turn the volume down on the TV. It's coming out on everything.
Okay.
That's why you guys have the remote there. Okay, beautiful. So about 33%, but so here's how I like to look at it. When you do something new and it creates this buzz and it moves you forward, I like to give everything credit to that, because prior to that, I know you were doing lots of different things, but this really set you on a whole new trajectory, right?
Oh, are you talking to me?
I'm gonna dump you in this call in about a second. Man, I can't believe it. You're gonna be internet famous, and you're like, you talking to me?
What?
Am I interrupting your day? Or you got something else you want to do?
Oh, I'm doing my phone. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to me.
I'm talking to you. I'm saying, like, you've grown your business and you're on a whole different trajectory. I think we can trace it back to that one thing. That was like patient zero. Was that ground zero?
I think we learned a lot. Yeah, I think we learned a lot from the post.
Yeah.
And we sort of refined our approach and package for them. But I think we did find the possibility in sort of portfolio stuff like in full solutions to get business things. Get the three. I think a lot of our clients find this blocking looking and blocks dialogue. I think seldom you'll get new calls. Ultimately end up a site. but I don't think that's the first promotion.
Right. You know what? I think we're having some technical difficulties with your audio. Like you're coming in a little staccato, right? And the volume isn't great. So I get it. I'm going to tell this story my way anyway, so that's cool. I just want to get you on camera. People haven't seen you, and you're going to be on our podcast pretty soon. So I'm going to say thanks for jumping on. I know it's short notice. I'll tell the rest of your story, and then you can comment below like it's all lies, all right? Is that cool?
Be gentle.
All right,
Be
man.
gentle.
I'm going to drop you. All right, take care, man. Bye. You know, usually people are very excited to talk to us, and Aaron's like, are you talking to me? I got other things I got to be doing right now. All right, so just to like kind of reiterate there what I heard. What did you guys hear?
I couldn't hear.
You couldn't hear
most of what you were
anything?
saying.
Nobody can hear anything?
Yeah.
Well, he's just saying that one case study, that one packaging thing taught them a lot about how to market in the future. So now they've gone bananas in terms of the production that they'll put into presenting their work. And everybody, he told me it was all hands on deck yesterday working on crafting the presentation of the work that they had just done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very good tip for you guys. Those of you guys that think the work should speak for itself, the work of marketing the work is where the real work begins, right? So creating really great stories around the work that you did, process, and really giving contextual a context so that people can see that. So like holding the ice cream stick, somebody smiling, kind of seeing it packed in ice. Those kinds of things really add a lot to like to fill in the gaps in our imagination. Okay. Now those things I know from him were actually photographed. It wasn't like some kind of mock-up, and they're beautifully photographed. So I'm gonna move on. We're gonna get into all your Twitter questions right now, and I think we've answered some of them already, right? So we're gonna get into your Twitter question. And if you guys didn't know, you can find us on Twitter at The Future is Here and hashtag Business of Design. Business of Design. I think that's what Ben Burns said.
Mm-hmm.
So before I answer that question, I'm going to just throw a shout out to a couple of people, and then we'll jump right back into it, all right? Want to mention Joey Corman, which I've talked about before for you motion graphics people. We're featured on his podcast, and there's an article called The Uncertain Future of Mograph. Go to School of Motion and check that out. Have a listen to the podcast. Let us know what you guys think. And then I also want to mention our friends, Jonathan Rudolph, I think that's his name, over at Logo Inspirations. That's how I mostly know him, is Logo Inspirations. He has a YouTube channel called youtube.com/Logo Inspirations. Check him out. He's showing people how to draw logos, and I think that's pretty cool. And one last thing is to mention our sponsor. Our sponsor for this episode is HelloFresh. If you guys go to HelloFresh.com and you're into ordering meal delivery service, like where they prep and provide recipes for you and they ship it, go to HelloFresh.com, save $30 with the code FUTUR, F-U-T-U-R, and that's HelloFresh. All right. Now, let's get to your questions. Here we go. Matt Wilson ask, how would you tackle renegotiating rates with old clients? This is a really good question. Ben Burns, I believe I've coached you on how to do this, so I'm going to turn it over to you. Everybody else is like, thank God. Whew. Ben Burns, how would you tackle this?
I did this, and for me, it was a very timid, vulnerable, time, and that those conversations are always super awkward. But basically, I said, "Hey, listen, I'm trying to scale. I'm expecting a baby, and I unfortunately cannot offer the services at the same rates that I have been. And so, in order for us to continue this relationship, I really need to." Raise your rates or whatever that solution is, move to a retainer situation or whatever the solution. And that's it. And then you just wait for their reaction.
Yeah. That was a little less polished than I thought it was going to come out of your mouth. So I'm going to give you a slightly, I'm not going to say more polished, an alternative version of saying that. I think I want to start with gratitude first. If a client's been giving you money for a number of years or months or whatever, I think it's easy for you to kind of grow kind of entitled, or you feel like they should pay you that amount. You grow resentful of the relationship, even though that's exactly what you asked for and they're paying you exactly what you asked for. So I would say, okay, so if the person's name is Mary, it's like, Mary, first off, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your support and your loyalty for us over the years or months. We've been growing by leaps and bounds, and I'm not in a position anymore where I can offer you the same services at this rate. I've been giving it to you for $50 an hour, let's just say, and I'm charging all new clients $200 an hour. Now that's a pretty big jump, and I don't want to leave you out in the cold. So as a token of my appreciation, I'm going to give you a discounted loyalty rate of $125. And if that's something that you would like to do, we can continue this relationship. If not, I truly understand that there's a couple of people in my network that I can refer you to. How does that sound to you, Mary? Is that okay?
Sounds great.
All right. So that's it. That's how I would answer it, Matt. That's it. Next question, coming from Morgan Crockett. And I think Morgan may have more than one question. Let's see what happens here. Should I specialize in one type of design or try to take every job that comes? One of you guys answer that question.
I think if you could choose.
Matthew, you got to bring the mic to you.
Yeah, I think if you're in the opportunity to pick and choose and you're not desperate, then pick and choose based off of the type of work you'd like to be doing and continue to do. But if you need to feed yourself and keep the business afloat, I mean, I think you have to carefully evaluate everything. But I think, you're probably going to end up being a little bit more desperate, and you probably want to take more jobs and opportunities.
This question is phrased a little tricky. Mm-hmm. Let's take it. Like, this is a compounded question. If just being as super analytical as I am, should I specialize in one type of design? Answer is yes. Absolutely freaking yes. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. Or try to take every job that comes. Then that makes you think that they're getting a lot of leads to begin with. Mm-hmm. So, Morgan, since I don't know you, if you're getting lots of different leads, go ahead and take the work. Hire people to do it. Not a problem. Okay? Grow your business. But be selective in what you show the outside world. Yes. Totally okay to do that, all right? But I think the putting the two parts together makes it sound like I've got all this kind of business, so what should I focus on? I don't think that's the case. Chances are, if you're tweeting at us, you need to get more clients, and you need to focus. And this is a horrible thing. Blair Enn calls it the peculiarities of a creative person, that creative people like solving different kinds of problems, that routine bores them. This is inherently part of the conflict. So this is where he tries to get into this, like, by becoming a creative expert. And he says that might be an oxymoron, because an expert is somebody who's done something over and over and over again, the same thing, like a doctor, like a lawyer. You don't want a first-time lawyer, or you don't want a divorce lawyer to defend you in a murder trial. You see how this works. The logic is very consistent with all of our lives, except for when we apply it internally. I like to do a little bit of this, I like to do a little bit of that. Now we're going to get into the answer, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. It's called the T skill, which is implying that you must go deep. Rather than going wide, go deep. Go into a vertical. It doesn't mean that you're giving up a lot of stuff. It just means you're getting depth. You're gaining depth, and that's what you need to do. All right? So here's the number of things that you guys could possibly do and you've been trained to do. And this is fairly typical of how design schools teach you, because they want to create these very broad generalists who can do lots of different things. And I think to some degree that's a good philosophy, but in the real world that's very hard to market, because I want the best of whatever. Yeah. And generally speaking, the experts have fewer competition and get paid more money. And that makes sense, right? Whenever you go to see a specialist, it should cost more money. Okay, moving on. Here's Morgan's second question. What structures do I need to set in place, finance, workflow, invoicing, so I can have more jobs at once? So Morgan must be getting a ton of work, because he keeps talking about this thing that he's got so much of. Somebody who's better at this than me answered this question. Maybe Ben Burns, you can help out with this.
Well, I mean, obviously you need to have the capabilities to do these things. So invoicing, if you're not set up on PayPal or Harvest or QuickBooks, you need to get that set up. As far as finance goes, I would say you need to have money coming in before you really worry about that. I mean, obviously you need to have a plan for when the money comes in. What do you do with it? How is it allocated? Is it, what is your salary? What are you going to save for the business's future? Things like that. As far as like workflows, that really depends on the studio. There are a ton of different ways to do project management, and a lot of different apps for that. We like Trello and Slack, and I've used Basecamp and a couple of other ones before.
Team Gantt.
Team Gantt. Oh man, right, yeah, that's super cool right now. So there's different technology pieces, but I guess just sitting down and having a plan. I would say so you can have more jobs at once. That seems like an assumption that you need to have a lot of jobs to run at the same time. And I would say you might not need that. one job at a time, if the budget is there, should be enough to launch this business.
Clear? I'm not sure I can follow what he just said there. The reason why is, Ben, I'm going to teach you guys this thing, right? Or I'm going to share a way of doing this. This is a complicated question.
Yeah.
He's asking 4 questions in one.
Yeah.
And so, Ben, you have to sit there and unpack all the information. So I'm going to give you guys a tip next time, you guys. Try to articulate one really clear question at a time. You can do multiple tweets to us because it then leaves it up to us to interpret this. And this is a client skill you need to have, because when you ask the client, like, what do you think about the finance workflow invoicing system? They're going to give you some weird answer, and you're going to walk away with not a very clear picture. Ask one question at a time and then kind of listen to what's going on. If I'm reading this, what structure I need to deal with finance? All right, I can understand that question. So this sounds to me like it's an accounting issue. I would get together with an accountant or a bookkeeper, have them set up FreshBooks or QuickBooks Pro, something like that, so that your account is set up right. So they're going to just need to know something. So you're an accrual-based business or cash-based business, and I'm not going to get into what those mean, but you want to set that up correctly at the very beginning, and so that you can reconcile your account at the end of every month. It's important for us to know how much money is supposed to be in the bank, and then that number actually be there. So you have a good understanding, okay? And one tool that you can probably use to help you manage leads is using HubSpot, right? Ben
Yep.
Burns? HubSpot will help you to manage how many projects or how
CRM.
many leads. CRM.
HubSpot CRM.
HubSpot CRM. Okay?
It's free.
Gives you visibility on how many projects might actually come in based on your close ratio, and then it shows you how much money you possibly have. So invoicing, so he's just talking about like basic business setup, and I get that. So this is where we're going to swim into deep waters here, and I don't want to do that. So talk to an accountant or a bookkeeper, have them set up your books properly, and they're going to ask you a couple of questions about how many invoices you do, the general size of it, are we moving a lot of money back and forth, how long do people take to pay you, those kinds of things, and they'll set something up. What you want to do, though, is design a profit and loss statement, a top sheet, that shows you what your revenue is, what your expenses, your overhead, and then your net profit. So you need to know those things, because if you call me as a consultant, it's the first thing is I'm going to ask you what those numbers are, and you need to know what they are. Okay? We're not going to get into workflow because it's super complicated now.
Yeah.
But true
This
to
is a
what
beast of a question.
it's a beast
Yeah.
of a question,
It's
and
like,
it's like his second question, like
how
two.
do you start a business from the ground up? That's what this question is.
It really is on every single little bit. All right. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, when the money is flowing, you can hire lots of people.
Yes.
So let's focus on sales and marketing and bringing in the work, and then you can hire the team. Because when you don't have the money, then you're doing everything yourself, and you're really not trained to do all this kind of stuff. This is important. So generally speaking, within your family and friends network, there's somebody that you can call upon that's going to do you a favor and help you set this stuff up. Okay, don't be shy to ask. I think that's important to do that. All right. So if you can do one job and you've got a process, you can replicate that. That's what Ben was saying.
Right.
All right. Woo! Third
Morgan.
question.
My goodness.
Well, let's see if we want to answer this one. If I get a project that I don't have the skills for, how do I contract it out to other designers? It's a good question.
Mhm.
This guy must be getting a lot of leads. I'm getting
No,
a
he
feeling
says,
like
he says
he's killing it.
He's not. That's not the issue. He's just trying to get ready.
You're
got
getting
big
ready for
dreams.
the Noah's Ark rain, right?
Big
All
dreams.
right, and he's building the ark. He's like, dude, it's not coming.
That's right.
It'll be all right. All right. Okay, this is a really good question.
Yeah.
All right. Matthew, Greg, answer it. One of you guys. If I get a project I don't have the skills for, how do I contract it out to other designers?
Okay. Well, the way I kind of hear that question, or I imagine it, is if I'm presented a job and I just don't know how to do it,
Yeah.
the first thing I do is start calling people who do know how to do it. I talk to them, and I ask people I know, and I try to figure out and get quickly educated about the process and what it means. You know, and I kind of know going into it that I want to do this job, but I'll probably need to bring in a partner to help me. So I think step one is learn what it means to do that job. Talk to experts, try to find a partner and someone to help you figure out how to do this job.
All right, how was that question or answer, Morgan? We're not going to spend too much time on that, but I want to let you guys know there's a very simple solution to this. Okay? It's called the internet. You type in whatever it is you need. You study their work. You get on the phone with them. You say, I'm going to get a project like this.
Yeah.
What do I need to know? Because I don't even know what I need, what I don't know. So you're gonna ask lots of questions. So if it's a developer, you're gonna ask them about their process and just say like, what kind of questions do I need to get from a client so that you can bid on this? So you're gonna learn just enough to be intelligent on a conversation. And as soon as you get the job, you hire them to do it. And I would ask them too, what's a ballpark figure?
Yeah.
Like if the scope is something like this, would you mind sending me a sample proposal? Those kinds of things. Because you are potentially a client for them, they're gonna try and take care of you. Okay? And this is how companies are built. You have access to the client, they know how to produce the work. This is back to becoming an entrepreneur. Connecting those two things, you can make lots of money if you do it right. All right? Hope that was helpful to you, Morgan. Morgan, I'm just like, let's do meat and potatoes. Get your portfolio right. Like, get it right really good, you know? And then get it onto those sites that we talked about and be active on social and develop a following, and you'll do really well. Okay? All right, next question. Is it possible to sell assurance to a prospective client without a proven track record of professional experience?
There were a lot of these kind of questions.
Ooh, that's a good one. Sam Wood.
Yeah.
Sam Wood. Ben Burns, answer it.
Oh man. How come you give me all the hard ones?
You know, I think these guys are sweating too. There's no easy question.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but I feel like we've talked about this one
Go ahead.
before many times.
Okay,
So,
Greg will say it to you.
I'll try.
Lifeline.
I'll try at
I
least.
know.
Yeah.
I need a lifeline prop. You're totally right.
Okay, is it possible to sell assurance to a prospective client without proven experience? Yeah. Yes, absolutely possible. And I think the way to do that is to be just upfront and honest about it. So a lot of times, let's say we get a call for a job and they're asking for transformers, and we haven't done transformers, like crazy CG animation, something just well beyond the scope of what we're capable of doing, what we've done here. Like, in my heart of hearts, I know we can do the work. Of course we can do it, and I would kill it. It would be amazing. But like as your question says, the trick is trying to convince the client to believe the same thing. So I think one solution to do that is being honest and let them know, hey, look, I know it's not on a reel or anything, but I work with a lot of people, a lot of experts in this kind of thing, and we talk about this all the time. And I don't have a great answer for you right now, but let me make a few phone calls, get a friend on the phone with me, and we can talk through this and figure out how to solve this problem for you. So if you're called out on not having the technical expertise, you kind of just embrace that question and just let it like roll off your back and say, you know, I'm not worried about that. We can find an expert. We can find a specialist to do that kind of thing. What I want to do is help you solve your bigger problem, whether it's story or narrative or whatever it is.
Your answer was mostly good.
Mostly.
Mostly good.
All
I
right,
gave
I'll
you
take
like
it.
A minus B plus in your answer.
Okay.
And the one little tweak I would make
Yes.
is don't worry about it.
Don't worry about
That's
it.
dismissive.
Okay.
And you're not hearing me.
All right.
Instead, I offer this. That's a really good concern you just raised. I honestly don't have the answer for you right now. But in my network of people, give me 24 hours, I'll get you a really good answer. And then move on. So it's about being open and being transparent, right? If like, I'm not sure you can do this project on this budget, and you say don't worry about it, you can worry about not getting the
that.
basically. Let's keep going, all right?
Cool.
Ben, did you want to add something real
Yeah,
quick?
you
Go
know, the
ahead.
way I saw this question was really like, maybe it's a student that's trying to get in, you know, his first freelance job. And so that lack of track record of professional experience, or maybe even a lack of a portfolio, that kind of falls into that category in my mind. So I would just say, continue to do work for friends, family, anybody that you can work with, and develop your skills on that level of job before you know, are trying to sell stuff to, you know, random leads or other clients.
But Ben, you're melting in front of me, right?
You
You're
look at
melting.
me like,
Well, I'm like waiting for the answer. Like you were like, Coach, pick me. Put me in. I put you in. You're like, never mind.
I think
All right, it's hot in this room.
I think there's another extreme way to approach
Right.
it, rolling off of what Greg has said, and we've done this in the past where we know we can do the work, we trust our own process and are 100% confident in that, but the client doesn't see that one thing that they're asking for, right? So usually how we approach it is just by saying, look, if it doesn't turn out the way that you expect it, exactly like this, we'll redo all the work on our dime. you don't have to pay us. Like, you could get really ballsy at that point and just say, like, if it doesn't come out and meet the expectations, even though in the back of my head I know it will, we could redo it all.
You're talking about doing a money back guarantee.
Exactly.
Which is scary for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think creatives, like, that's kind of an offensive concept. But if you really think about it, you're saying, trust me, I don't yet know how to do this, but I will figure it out. But I'm not willing to back it up with my own money.
Right.
And so sometimes, and I say, use this very sparingly because you could easily destroy your own business, okay? Because not everybody's ethical, not everybody's going to honor that. And they're just going to, I'm not happy with it. And then you just wind up spending so much money trying to fix it,
Right.
okay? There are such things as unreasonable clients. But
Right.
what you're saying is, I will give you a money back guarantee. And you can use that if you feel like they're going to say yes, but that's the last little thing that's holding them back. And then do it. But don't go out of the gate saying, we offer
No.
that right up front.
Yeah.
Okay? Some people will take advantage of you as they take advantage of us.
Right.
Some people buy our products and then say, I didn't like it, I wanted something else. And that's not really super ethical, right? Okay. Next question.
So this Brian, I think his name is ready to call in.
Okay, Brian's ready to call. Let me ask the question. Brian, if you're watching right now,
CS Chronicles.
Brian, give me a ring. Okay? So his question is, Blind offers a lot of what a marketer is supposed to do. Did you learn it or do you have a marketing team? So Brian, call me. Here I am. Ring me up. It'd be cool if I could actually plug this in and make it work.
Let me tweet him real quick.
Okay. Brian, caller. Call in. So Brian has several questions actually. Right? And then we're going to take a break after Brian's call. Nobody knows how to call me, huh? What else can we talk about? Well, maybe I can start answering this question before Brian calls. We offer a lot of what a marketer is supposed to do. Did you learn it or do you have a marketing team? All right, so I'll answer this question. For a long time, we've depended on sales teams to help us get work. And that was really great because it means we didn't have to do anything, like in Greg's case. And you kind of sit back and then I think this is a natural thing. When there's work, you kind of don't pay any attention. When there's no work, you kind of are at odds with each other. Like, why haven't you produced anything yet? And that's fine, except for I like to have a little bit more control over my own destiny, to know that if I put in X number of hours on something or I make a new thing, that it's going to result in a new lead or a new business call, okay? So that can get kind of tricky there. And so in the last couple of years, we've had to learn how to market our own work because for the first 20 years of this business, we've primarily depended on sales reps. Now, we still have sales reps, but the industry has changed so much so that we have to actually look for relationships that the sales reps don't have a channel into right now. We're talking about going client direct. So we've had to learn a lot of these skills. If you guys go back and watch season 1 of this channel, The Process, you're going to see that Jose will ask me some questions about how do you generate sales leads. I'm like, I have no idea. And even not that long ago, like say a year ago, Al Martinez was here talking about a conversion funnel. I didn't even know what that was. So we had a lot of learning to do, and it's been very exhilarating. And evidence of that is Mr. Ben Burns being here, and that he brings in his set of knowledge, and he's been working on the digital marketing side of things, and he's here to get our marketing game on. So it's definitely something that we've learned, and I feel better that we're taking it on, and now we're starting to teach this stuff to you guys. Okay? So that's the short answer while we're still waiting for you. Perhaps he's called in and I missed it. I don't see anything.
No, they're saying it's not letting them call, so we can move.
Okay, what's his name? Has he friended me? What's his name?
It might be a her. Okay,
Her?
hold on. CS Chronicles.
What's her name?
Oh, it said phone icon doesn't appear.
Oh, if phone icon doesn't appear because you're not using Chrome. Okay, now I'm schooling the kids. If you use Chrome or Firefox, you can't use Safari. Obviously, don't use Netscape or Explorer because nobody's using that anyways. Use Chrome. That's the way it's going to work. That's why I have Chrome open up on my desktop right now, you guys. Okay? Use Chrome. Whoever's going to be calling in next, use Chrome. Find me in the messenger part, and then hit the call icon and turn your camera on. We'll take you on. Well, why don't we do this? While we're waiting for her to call in, or him to call in, let's do our next break. This is our second of 2 breaks here. And so I want to remind you guys that we have this cool thing called the podcast. And I'm going to ask you guys to go and tune in and subscribe to it and check it out. We have now, since the last airing of our Facebook Live thing, we've gone from 12 reviews, or 12 reviews to 25. So thank you for the additional 13 people. You're so generous. Come on,
Thanks,
guys. We have thousands of people who watch us on YouTube. I'm really asking you guys to take one moment in your day, like do it right now. Take the next minute or so, go to iTunes. We're also on Stitcher and Google Play, but I don't know anything about how to do that. Go onto iTunes, please. Click subscribe, rate, review. It'll help us out a lot. And hopefully by the next time I see this, it'll be 100 or so. We really need this. We've been giving you guys free content for a really long time. We've barely asked you guys for anything back in return. And I'm asking you for something now. So that's my ask. And I'm going to show you guys a little commercial. Is that okay? Are we full screen, you guys? Yes. Here we go. I'm going to play this little commercial for you guys. It's a minute long. Enjoy. How do I get more clients that want to pay me what I think I'm worth? Hi guys, my name is Chris Dell. I'm the founder of Blind is a motion design firm. We're top 10, top 20. When we started to work on national brands, we felt like we finally arrived. I want to share what it is that I've learned in the last 20 plus years of running a design business, of entrepreneurship, of learning about marketing and sales. I want to empower you. The Futur is a content and education platform to the business and design. Explain that again. This is the first class in our business bootcamp series about sales and marketing. Evaluate your sales pipeline, establish a marketing funnel, and craft a marketing plan. Really, it's all about doing less work for fewer clients and earning more money. This class is for anybody that wants to generate more leads. If you love the results you have, if you love the clients, I don't think you should buy this course at all. If that doesn't sound like you, click below for more information. Oh, really? All right. So audio is not working for that. So you guys, if you guys want to check it out, Ben's telling me go to thefutur.com/sales and marketing for designers. It's up. We're live.
The video is there.
The video's there, so you guys can see it.
So you can watch it.
I get it, because we're broadcasting on that TV, it's messing up the audio, right?
Right.
So those guys can't really hear it. That's why it's not being piped out. Okay, it's cool. Let's get back into Twitter, or the Twitter questions. Am I seeing a phone call here?
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Daniel Dukes.
Yeah, he's one.
He's one. Is he one of them that is going to be calling me?
Yep.
All right, I don't know what happened to
CS Chronicles?
CS Chronicles. Is that like Creative Suite Chronicles?
I'm not really sure.
All right, let's keep going.
Remember Creative Suite.
Huh?
Man, that's a throwback. I like that.
Well, Adobe Creative Suite, that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, anyways, here's the next question from CS Chronicles. What were your first 3 projects in your experience? I'm sorry, excuse me. There was a punctuation. I ignored.
Remix.
Rewind. What were your first 3 projects? In your experience, what are the easier projects to start with? Okay, this question was asked earlier from...
CS Chronicles?
No. You
Oh,
screen
Alex,
capped it.
yeah.
Alex.
Yeah.
Alex and CS Chronicles asked the same question, basically. What was my first 3 projects? When I started a company, I think first few projects were logo work. I could do that. I had been freelancing, and when I stopped freelancing for that company, they sent the work back to me. So that's what I wound up doing. The other jobs that we wound up doing was a motion graphics project for a TV show. And the way I got that project was some of the work that I'd done as a student got put on the Adobe After Effects CD-ROM, you guys remember that? After Effects version 1.0. And my work was on it, and I got work because of that. So you guys remember when we talked about who are your customers? Well, my customers were people who worked in the industry who were using this software, saw the work, and then called me, and they were in LA, and I was in LA, so it worked out just fine. The other work we wound up doing was main title design for, I think it was the first project we had done for Kyle Cooper was Celtic Pride for the Boston Celtics. And then the next project was for Eraser, I think. So I kind of learned how to do main titles on the job. So those are my first 3 projects. Anybody want to share your first 3 projects?
Yeah, all 3 of mine were logos.
Okay.
So the first one was a logo for a blogger.
All right, you told me about that one.
Yeah, the second one was a logo for an antique like warehouse in Virginia. Is kind of where like people come set up booths to sell antiques. And then the third one, I remember it was a logo, but I don't remember the actual client.
Okay.
All of these came off of Upwork, and they were really, really low budget.
All right, really quickly, Greg, just fire them off. Don't even explain them. What are your first 3 projects?
Whiskas cat food.
Excellent.
Lost that pitch. Dodge Charger. Amazing. Lost that pitch. The third was a branded video from GE about an animated samurai that's still on my website to this day. First real book job ever, and it was so much
That's an
fun.
awesome project. I remember
Yeah,
that.
it was really cool.
Yeah. Okay, not a soul, right?
Yes,
So-
that's the one.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's jam, guys. Maybe Matthew, you're on the deck for the next question. All right.
All right.
Adriana asked, "How do you come up with a name?" and do you have any tips on the first hires?
Ha!
Thanks. How do you come up with a name?
Those are 2 different questions, right?
They are. Take
Yeah.
one of the 2.
Oh.
You guys in your compounded questions, you're trying to sneak it in. It's not a 2-for-1 buffet. Come
I have tips for first hires.
Okay.
I think I'll take that question.
Oh, the easy way.
The easy one.
God.
For first hires, I think you want to find somebody that complements you or doesn't or has the skills that you do not have. So especially when you're early on, I don't think you want to find somebody who's exactly like you as far as possessing the same skill set, because you're just 2 people doing the same thing, not knowing the things that you don't know. So if you're a highly creative person that knows how to do all the creative stuff, maybe you want to find somebody who's very business minded and knows how to run the books and do all of the sales and marketing, things like that. I think you want to find somebody who complements you. And then obviously as you grow, then if you're growing your creative team, then you want to find people who essentially can translate what it is that you tell them or what a client can tell them and direct the team so that you can take stuff off of your plate. So basically all the things that you do day to day, you want to find people that can take those skills off of your plate so that you can do other things and allow you to grow the business.
Yeah, that's straight up one of the tips from the 101 business, 101 things I learned in business school, which is to hire your boss. Okay, hire the person that's going to do all that stuff. But realistically speaking, if you're some young person or you're just starting out in his career, chances of you finding a high quality CEO type is very low. The things that I've seen in this industry is people generally partner with those bosses. So the executive producer, sales, marketing person, and you get together and you create a business together. So if you're in the creative space, the first hire I would make is to hire a junior version of you. Somebody that can do a lot of the legwork of the design. They can get the design 80% of the way there. They're never going to do 100% because they'd be you. So they can get 80% of the way there, and then you put the little spit and polish on it, and then you multiply your efforts, right? So 100% of you and 80% of this other person's 180%, go out and take on all that work that the other guy's getting, Morgan's getting all that work. So hire somebody kind of like you who can do a lot of the grunt work, okay? And then when you get to a certain point, you will hire your boss, but probably not out of the gate unless you're going to partner with them, all right? Coming up with a name, I'll give you the super simple answer. If you have a cool name, use your name. So Mr. Burns has Burnt Creative, okay? And you can get kind of clever with that. A lot of agencies just start with their last names and put them together. Like Landor and Associates, R. Greenberg and Associates, do something like that. If you want to get really creative, what I would suggest is to pick a name that is no more than 3 syllables. 2 to 3 syllables works best. No more than 5 to 7 letters long that you can say and pronounce easily, that has a hard K sound like Coca-Cola, like Kodak. They're easier to say and remember and to spell. That's the important thing. The last thing I want to tell you is this, is you're just starting out your business. You will not know where you'll be in 5, 10 years because the industry and everything else in you will change. So don't pick a name that's going to lock you into it. For example, if you call yourself Burns Packaging Design, well, you're now screwed because you can never do anything else that's not packaging. Right. And it's very critical. I would like to say, if you can, try to go for a feeling. Find a name that evokes a feeling and an idea and not a concrete thing. Okay? Like lawn trimming services, that's exactly what you're going to do. There's not much else that you can do. Let's move on. Zach Cameas?
Zach should be good to call in.
All right, I'm going to use my prop again this time, hopefully. You will actually call us. Zach, caller, call us right now, Zach. I know there's a little bit of delay, and I think we are now friends on Facebook. So call me on Chrome, guys. Call me on Chrome. I'm waiting for you. Zach asked, how many projects per month is a good number? I don't think we can get through all this, Ben Burns. You see all the slides we have left? We have to be a little bit quicker. Right here, I missed a call from Zach. I could see it on my phone, so now I know he's called. Here we go. We probably need to just turn off that thing.
Okay.
Hold on.
Hang on, Zach.
Zach, what's up, man? Hold on 1 second. We're going to turn off. You don't need to do anything, Ben. I'm going to turn off the AirPlay here.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Hopefully the audio is much better now. Okay, for our audience. Zach, you don't want to turn your camera, buddy? No makeup? It's okay. We're excited to see you.
I'm trying to turn it on, but it's not turning on.
Okay, let me see. Say something. Yeah, I think we can hear you on the right. Okay, it's fine. Let's get on with the call. So why don't you ask me your question? Go ahead. Fire away.
I take a lot of projects and I can't say no, and sometimes I just can't finish them.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm glad you asked it that way. That's awesome. Don't do that. That's my advice. Do not do that. Do not take on more work and not fulfill your promise because you're breaking trust and it's very hard to regain. Is it too loud now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll turn it back down. It's not there. It's here. Aaron, that has nothing to do with it. I'll turn it down now, okay? So it's important that you manage the work and deliver on your promise. I've met other people in your situation that have flaked out on clients, and it's very hard to rebuild that. Your reputation is everything, and you have to take that very seriously.
True.
Here's what I suggest you do. If you're getting too many leads, too many projects, it's time to up your rate. I want you to keep upping your rate until the work gets more manageable. It means you're charging too little, okay? When you go into a line and they're giving away dollar bills for 50 cents, people are going to be buying it all day long. You understand?
True.
So that's what you got to start changing your rates. Now, I don't want you to make little incremental rate changes. I want you to bump it up quite a bit. Currently, what are you charging right now?
For branding, I used to take almost like 2,000, but since I saw your videos, I believe I should take 10.
Yeah,
And
so that's a big
I
jump.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
I
good. I
know,
like the way you're
and,
thinking. Because that means my royalty check will be much bigger. Okay? So right now you're doing $2,000. What I suggest is doubling your rate. Okay,
Okay.
go from 2 to 4. That's a big
4.
jump already. So
Okay.
next client that calls you is like, I charge $4,000 to do this work. Would you like to do it? If they keep saying yes, double it to 8.
Okay.
8,000. Okay, and then go to 16 and kill it.
Cool.
Okay?
Makes sense.
When there's too
Okay.
many buyers, it means your price is too low. Simple answer, okay?
Yes.
Charge more, make more, and send me more. 10%, okay? All right, Zach?
Of course.
Okay, of course. I like you. All right, thanks for calling in. It was a pleasure talking to you. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Dubai.
Dubai.
Oh, wow.
Excellent. All right. What time is it there?
2 a.m. or something
Is
there?
it 2 in the morning?
It's 4:30 a.m.
Oh my gosh, 4:30 a.m. You're a trooper.
Okay, round of applause.
All right, good job, buddy.
Seriously, wow.
Now there's no excuse for anybody to say I can't stay up for the show. All right, you're a hero in my book. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for calling. All right.
Talk soon again.
Okay, take care,
Bye-bye.
man. Bye bye. So I'm gonna hang up on him now. Make room for the next caller. You don't have to turn that on or off. I'm just gonna leave that off for now.
Okay.
All right, I think we're gonna do 3 more questions, you guys. 3 more questions. I'm gonna skip this one. My target market doesn't like think long term. What can I do to make branding seem like something more tangible? All right, I think this is a good question, you guys. I'll read it to you guys. All right. This is a question coming from Mario Ranchi, who I know, and he's in the pro group. So his question is, my target market doesn't think long term. You guys better be ready for this one. What can I do to make branding seem like something more tangible? Great question. This is going to kill our panel right now. Look at Ben Burns. He's about to drop a brick right now. Go ahead, dude.
I don't understand
I
the
understand
question. I get that the target market doesn't think long term, but
They're not like it's a disjointed sentence. I get it.
yeah, what is the tangible piece of that puzzle?
Okay. Well, Mario does know us. I wonder if he wants to call in.
Yeah,
But
let's see.
I think I know his question. So Mario Ranchi, if you're awake, you're in the UK, I know that. Call me. Okay?
Sounds pretty tough to hear.
Is it tough to hear the audio?
It just peaks
Oh.
coming from whatever speaker.
Well, we
it's
turned it
coming
down
from.
now, so
Yeah.
hopefully it's not too bad. Okay, let me see if I can explain this question here, okay? What he's saying is, he wants to sell them something, they can't see the value in what he's selling. So he's thinking it's a long-term play, you gotta invest in this kind of stuff. So he's saying, how can I make branding seem like it's gonna actually get you tangible results? It's not about looking good or feeling
I
good.
see. What's the ROI?
See, I'm like a whisperer on this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you guys. See, you see, I can read this kind of question. I have that kind of skill. And he's like, no, that's not what I meant. Right. So here's the thing. A lot of you guys use the word branding and identity design interchangeably.
Right.
And because it's a buzzword. It's like, I don't design logos, I design brands. Well, let me tell you what separates a brand from a logo, okay? A logo is kind of the visual identity. We're talking about colors, textures, that kind of stuff. A brand is how it speaks and behaves, and it touches everything that the consumer comes in contact with. From the website, from the app, from the signage, from the parking sign to the bathroom signs to everything, and it creates this feeling, okay? So when he's doing the branding, he should be thinking about how to write messaging, about how to solve communication problems, and to solve conversion problems, and whatever that might be. When I say conversion, I mean perhaps the client wants you to achieve some kind of marketing goal of, say, increasing traffic to the store. Maybe they want to have their engagement go from 2% to 6% on their social media. Maybe they want to grow their platform from 10,000 followers to 20,000 followers. So you've heard me say this before, you guys. Take it away from the realm of subjective measures like cool, fashionable, timeless, and make it more tangible into things that you can measure, quantifiable. So you can check it off the list. That's probably one of the issues that you're struggling with, Mario. I hope that helps you. I don't know if you called. I don't think you called. You're probably asleep anyways. Okay? Let's move on. Let's see what other questions we got. How to do business online and get clients from other countries. We've already answered that.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand you're from Egypt. I know that there are economic problems all over the place, not just Egypt. You got to be international. You got to start. Whoa. Is that him? There he is. Mario. Can you hear me, caller? Oh, it's connecting. Okay, hold on. I don't want to leave the site. Let's stay. Mario, can you hear me? All right, I'll hang up and call you back. Where are you, Mario? Mario, I'll call you right back. Give me 1 second. Boom. He's in another call. Who are you calling, Mario? I'm calling you right now. Don't two-time me.
Hold, please.
It's like Aaron doesn't want to talk to me. He's busy texting, Snapchatting, or whatever he's
He's
doing.
like, hang on. Wait for a commercial.
You guys, come on. This is it, Mario. This is my last try. I'm connecting with you right now. He's in another call. I don't know who the heck he's calling. Okay, Mario. I'm moving on. He's trying to call me. Stop trying to call me, Mario. I will call you. I'm going to give you, this is it. This is your last try, dude. Do not call me. I will call you now. Fine, let's move on. So much for the live calling aspect. Maybe we have to get somebody else.
We just got to get like a cell phone or something.
Yeah.
Put it
Oh,
on a landline.
speakerphone.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking that maybe the call comes in on another person's computer, you have it all queued up, you just have it silent, muted, and that's probably how we need to do this.
Mhm.
Okay. How do I identify, I think we're gonna try to end it on this one, okay? How do I identify market needs so I can clearly advertise which services to offer? This is coming in from Levier Johansen. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Sounds Norwegian,
Yeah.
right? How do I identify market needs so I can clearly advertise which services to offer? Ben Burns.
I think, an easy way to do that is to understand on the technology side what's hot right now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things that when you started Blind, you talked about, nobody was doing what you were doing. And so it's a great way to just launch into that need in the market. You know, right now, AR, VR, that kind of stuff is hot. So that's a really easy way to do that, because the technology, there's always like a learning curve, and if you can tackle that, that'd be a good way to bring in clients.
Okay. What else?
I think you need to examine what you know how to do. What are you an expert at? What kind of things do you have to offer right here, right now? And why do you want to offer them? Taking it all the way back to the very first thing you mentioned, Chris. Like, it's just about making money. You know, go like manufacture cinder blocks. You can probably make a ton of money doing that. But there needs to be an underlying reason why. And I think that tied in with what you know how to do should give you some indicator of what services to provide and where to go.
Okay, super, you guys. Bring the camera on me. Okay, so here's how I break it down, you guys. Every business in the world today, in the 21st century, needs these three things. Whether you're a mom and pop kind of business or you're a multinational global corporation doing billions of dollars in revenue. These are the three things. So it's not so much, I don't like jumping in on trends personally, like emergent technologies, because you can get burned. Because it's hot, it's like a gold rush, everybody gets in. There's not a lot of discernment for quality. And when the market washes out and the ocean kind of pulls away, you see like who's not wearing pants. Okay? So my thing is identity design. Everybody needs an identity, because I need to differentiate you from your competitor. And I say everybody, I mean, like, look, if you're selling like a piece of bread on the side of the road, you don't need an identity per se, because you're just making, you know, whatever. It's like a kind of built around your reputation, right? But at a certain point, when you're a business, every business that has employees, they need an identity design so we can recognize who they are, okay? So they're going to trademark that. So that looks like things that you guys already know how to make today. That's like a logo, the color palette, the signage, the menus, those kind of packaging, the to-go box, whatever. The next thing they need, I'll skip down to the third one here. I wrote it out of order. It's a web presence. They need a website, because the world works that way. They're going to look you up. And we can get into all this stuff about SEO, SEM, and making sure the content is friendly and it's responsive for different devices. That's critical. So everybody needs a website. Lastly is you need to do social media marketing, because if you have an identity and you have a web presence, how the heck is anybody going to find you? And this is where you can do social media marketing. This is how you have a conversation with your customers and how you provide value to them. So ask yourself, do I do one of these three things? Do I do them well? Is there a market for that stuff where I'm at? Okay? And do you do more than one, or do you do all three? If you can do all three, you're doing pretty good. And this is where we get into branding and marketing. That would be the umbrella, okay? That's all I got for you there. Do you do one of those things? That's it. Anything else, guys? Mr. Burns? Monitoring the comments, you good?
Yeah,
People hating on
everybody's
us
quiet right now.
Everybody's real quiet?
You
They don't
just
know what to
schooled
say.
them.
No, come on. I don't want to answer the what's the branding agency design tomorrow. That's like a whole freaking can of worms.
Sure.
I don't want to get into that. I think we're going to be done, you guys. Speak to timing of when you start your design business for. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we've covered most of these questions anyways. All right, we're going to wrap up the show, you guys. My name is Chris Doe, and I'm here with Mr. Ben Burns, Greg Gunn, and Matthew Encina. And I'm going to roll the credits here in a second. Looks something like this. Okay.